Like, if there's one thing to take away from today's episode, you're literally just a speck of time.
Yeah.
Just a speck of time.
That's it.
You, to put it bluntly, you don't mean anything to this timeline.
After everything we've talked about today, you literally mean nothing.
Yeah, us too. Just see first if people actually like us together. They might be like, these girls are dumb. Please do never.
Please never. Shut up, right? I turned it off 2 minutes in.
It's going to go one or two ways. People are going to hate it or they're going to love it.
That's it.
They may ask for more, and then we may have to come back.
Lower your expectations.
Yeah.
We can do it. Cheers.
All right. Cheers.
Cheers.
There.
Yay. All right. I'll introduce us.
All right.
Welcome back to the Hypersensitive podcast. Today we are doing a collaboration. It is the Hypersensitive podcast and the
Basic B.
Yes. Welcome Emily to the show.
Thanks.
Hello. Emily is also a podcaster and has her own podcast, The Basic Bee. And today we're doing a collab episode and we are chilling in my living room. And something a little different, I'm drinking wine today. So she was rad enough to bring some Snoop wine, which I am obsessed with this bottle. And I might get a little bit drunk. I don't know. I don't really drink often and I didn't eat enough today. So it's just the perfect.
It's a nice little like collab.
Yeah. It's just, we have to just fucking, we originally got together and we were like just outside having coffee. And she's like, I just want this to just be chill and just drink some wine. And then I just set up 700 cameras and 10,000 lights. And she's like, this is fucked. So I'm letting loose today and I've got wine. So anyways, that's my intro. Was that good? I don't know.
Oh no, I like that. That was
Okay.
a lot better than I would have done. I was like, wow, okay. We're
You're
like just popping off right here.
We are, yes.
Yeah.
And we have extra wine. So
Yeah.
we're just going to keep it going.
I find the intro is so hard to do. Like, I'll redo it like 20 times because I'm like, I don't like how I sound. I always overthink it, and that's why I haven't put out a podcast episode since like October.
Right. You said it's been a while.
Yeah. So this might just be my one. I might just come out of my podcast little like
You're in
cave and be like, hi guys, and then go back to where I was. It's hard to do episodes though, because it's like, for me, I'm doing like all the editing, I'm doing all the promotion, even the graphics I do.
Yeah.
Like I make everything myself. So it's hard.
It's a lot of work. I don't think people realize, like, even like you said, you're doing a podcast that doesn't have a video component and it's still a lot of work. Like it is like the editing. I die every time I have to do an episode, by the way, because the editing, I'm not an editor and it's just madness. But I love it. I love the video component because I like that you can watch and see who we are.
Yeah.
But it's like you're doing the cover art, you're doing the episodes, you're still editing the audio, you are creating content, you're coming up with ideas for the show, you might have guests on your show and like scheduling that and booking that, and then also the whole platform of being on social media and trying to manage that like bullshit algorithm so that people see this and hear this is like a whole other thing that like I fucking am too old and too like numb to understand it.
Yeah.
I'm just learning about that.
Yeah. And it's like, for me, I find it really hard to find people that actually want to come on because like most people are like, I don't want to do a podcast. And it's like, okay.
Really? Are
So
they
it's
scared?
Yeah. It's just like everyone is shy.
People are shy.
And so I'm like, okay, well, I could just go on and talk, but I'm like, that's so boring. And I like, it's just you talking, you get to a point where you're like, what was I even talking about? Like, am I even making sense right now? Like, I've done 20 minutes worth of content, but I don't make sense anymore.
I feel you. Sometimes I'm like, do I make sense? Like, I'll make some bullet points and then I'll be like, do I even know what I'm talking about? Is this even part of the idea that I had?
I just go in being like, yeah, we're just gonna wing it today. I should probably make bulletin points. It's a lot. Like I like get on it and I'm like, I have stage fright right now and there's literally no one here, but it's just putting out an episode sometimes. The last episode I did was called the 411 on therapy. That was like probably my best episode. That one
That's
I
awesome.
actually kind of put a little bit more, but yeah, I put more effort into it, but also I think it was a lot easier just because like it's something that I do know quite a bit about just because I've been going to therapy for 3.5 years, and I feel like it's like a topic that like not a lot like people know about it, but they like don't know completely about it, if that makes sense, right? Like
Totally. And I also think like everybody's therapy journey is so different that
yeah. And mine I don't feel like is like your typical like therapy session.
and everybody's going to therapy for something different, at
Yeah.
least to start. And yeah, I think
Yeah.
that
Like
it's a good topic to discuss.
yeah, like I would say me personally, like sometimes question myself. I'm like, I'm really paying like I think my sessions are like 125. I'm like, I'm really just paying like $125 just to like talk to this person. Like I'm
Just have
really
somebody
paying
to
for
help
my
me figure it
friend right
out.
now.
Yeah.
But
Except our friends are just as fucked up. And I'm not saying our therapists are also people and they're probably
yeah.
fucked up too, but like somebody who just sits down and listens and has no idea, like they just see you for like this blank canvas that you are, and then you
Yeah.
share with them shit, and then they're like, "Okay, well I'm going to help you unravel this ball of like garbled up yarn that is your brain and is your existence, and I'm going to help you like in a timeline make sense of it and then see how it
Yeah.
relates back to who you've become."
I know, yeah. And sometimes I have to explain things to my therapist. Like I remember one time I was like, "Annie, I just really need to get back on my real hot girl shit." And she was like, "What does that mean?" And so I had to explain to her. And
Yes.
so I explained to her what it's like to be on your real hot girl shit. And she's like, "I really, really like that."
It's just so wholesome. I
She
like
is
that.
so wholesome. Sometimes she's like too nice to me, and I'm thinking in my head like, Annie, you can be a little bit meaner. But then I was like, no, maybe I need someone to just be really nice to me because I'm not used to that. So she's just so nice and just so wholesome, and I'm like, this is great. But
Yeah.
sometimes I'm like, you need to tell me if I'm like being an asshole or whatever.
Oh my God. I feel like I actually just went to therapy on Friday last week. And it was the first time in 3 years since I saw my therapist in person because of COVID. She wasn't in the office. So
Yeah.
she's come back recently. She literally was like, I don't know how she can remember my story and who I am, but she didn't remember me coming in because I started seeing her in 2019. And then I did see her in person, and then she just like didn't remember that. She's like, "Is this the first time I'm meeting you in person?" Because we've been Zooming or whatever the platform is for therapists that they
Yeah.
use. But I saw her and I said something like, "No, I'm just like a trash garbage person," which is how I refer to myself a lot. Because I am. I'm like from the fucking. I'm from the streets, like you said in that. We were talking about something earlier, but I am. I'm like I'm from garbage. I am like brushed off garbage, and she was like, "That's so harsh, like the fact that you would call yourself like garbage." And I was like, "Okay, like you're making me think of this different, but like I feel like that's just comedy to me.
Yeah.
It's like shock value. It's like that's so intense, but I also mean it. I mean it in a comedic way, but people are like, you're so down on yourself." I'm like,
You're like, I
"No,
just want
like
to call myself
I
garbage.
just like I'm
Just
trash. Like let's
yeah.
just call a spade a spade. This is who I am." But like in a like a way that is still funny to me.
Yeah.
I'm like I'm not going to be like I'm like a really like fucked up person. It's like no, I'm fucking
Right?
garbage and I'm from that
Right?
trash.
I know.
Yes.
It's like sometimes I call my like I'll say like, "Oh, I only have like 4 brain cells," or like I'm dumb. People are like, "You're not dumb." And I'm like, "Okay, sometimes I really am though. Like you
Y-
just need to start believing me."
You just need to
I
start
know my
believing in me. I
right?
am dumb and I'm garbage and I'm an idiot. So just shut
Right?
up and let me speak my truth.
Right? Like let me have my moment. I'm also like I think I know myself a little bit better than you do, but
Yeah,
yeah.
exactly. And also, like, my belief too for anybody that's like, well, you know, you need to speak good words into existence and manifest that shit and talk nice to yourself. I think that if there is like an underlying sense of joy and comedy behind it, that feeling trumps the words that you're saying about yourself. Like, I think it's funny and I think it's joyful to joke around and be like self deprecating. Like, I
Yeah.
cannot take myself seriously. I'm not that, like, I just can't be. And so in order to joke, I have to like make it funny about the shit I've been through. Otherwise it's just kind of fucking sad. And then it's just like, well, that's kind of plain and depressing. So like let's amp it up. Let's make comedy out of it. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, I've always had, like, I have at least one situation a day where I'm like, Jesus Christ, Emily, you're like kind of an airhead. Like, I've had like quite a few situations where I was like, oh my God, that person probably thinks I'm so dumb. This one time I went out for drinks with a guy and the basketball was on the TV. And I looked at him and was like, "How many quarters are there?" I like realized like right after what I had said, and I looked at him and was like, "Don't answer that. I know the answer." I was like, "Why did those words just like come out of my mouth? Like, am I just like so
You're just
awkward?"
like, no, like get back in
Yeah,
my face. I say I'm like not very tactful at times. So I
yeah,
have to like consciously be aware of how I'm saying things because sometimes things that just like I'll speak my thoughts. Like there is a filter that people have and I have it there, but I have to remember to use it. And it's not that I'm like trying to like be fake or that I have like mean things to say about anybody, but I'm just like,
yeah,
this is not going to come out right. Just think before you say it because it's going to come out sounding crazy and people are going to be like, what the fuck are you talking about?
yeah. I have verbal diarrhea all the
I just
time.
say things.
Yeah. I think like in that situation when I asked about the quarter, like how many quarters there are, I think it was like I was super nervous because like he was kind of a guy that was like really interested in. And so I was just nervous and like but it just came out and I
You're
was
just like,
like
ah,
it was funny though. It was I laugh like I look at it now I'm like oh that was kind of funny. Like I've done things like that before like I've done it where I've taken guys to like sporting events cuz like I win tickets through work quite often. Um and I'm like, you know what? I'm probably the best person to go to sporting games with. I have no freaking clue what's going on. Like one time I went with a guy, we went to the Whitecaps game and he started talking about I think we were playing like I don't know, the other team was called like the Rapids or something.
I fucking have no idea. I know
Yeah,
nothing about
me
sports.
neither.
I hate them.
I
I
was
hate
like, what is
sports.
even going on right now? Like I'm
Yes.
so confused, but also like I had an edible before I went. So I was just like an extra layer of confusion.
Just an extra layer of fog that
So I'm just like la da 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 da, just like I'm like yeah, I'm like having fun. Like it was fun. I just didn't know what was going on. But yeah, so he started talking about the other team, and I looked at him and was like, "Who are the Rapids?" And he looked at me. He's like, "The team we're playing right now." And
I'd be the same way.
I was like, "Oh, I thought you were talking about some like random team. I didn't even realize we were playing that
I
team."
love
And I was
that
like,
like you get these sports tickets, go to games, and you're like, I have no fucking idea what's happening.
"It's
I'm
fun to
just
go
like,
to
I
games."
assume guys like sports, so we go
Yeah.
do sports. Like,
Well, it's just like it's fun and like also I started doing this thing. It was the first time I went to the Canucks game like 2ish years ago with this one guy. And I like to play the 50-50 and fantasize the entire game what I would do with that 50-50 money. I think the first guy
oh
I
my
went to and I
god.
was like, "Okay, if I win, are you down to be my sugar baby and I can like take you anywhere in the world?" But the thing is if you piss me off for going on a flight back home, like
Yeah.
I like the entire game I was just fantasizing about winning the 50-50 and like what I would do with that money and just like and then I didn't win. And I was like, "Well, that sucks." Like
Oh my
and
god.
it was funny cuz I was like I won the tickets through work. So I was like I would quit my job tomorrow and I would go traveling. Like imagine that would be just like so much fun. Didn't win, but I like doing that. That's why I like going because I just like the entire time I'm just like fantasizing about
You're like, I just go here because I get free tickets. I'm
right.
on a date and I'm gonna fantasize about the money that I'm not gonna win.
Yeah, and then but usually after the never goes anywhere with the guy, and I'm like, okay, well, that kind of sucked for
You're
me,
like, I
but
just wasted this fantasy about winning this money and being here for I don't even know how long do sports last?
um, I think a hockey game is like, an, it feels like 2 hours.
I feel like they're like hours long.
They're
Aren't they like
so
4 hours?
long, but I think
Is
they're
that
like
all sports? Is that football too? Is that
I don't
basketball? Like
know.
everything. I've played sports. I should know, but like I'm
They're
not
a
like a
lot shorter
sporty
than that.
girl. I'm not a sports person at
No,
all.
no. I used to
No.
play softball, and I'm like, I didn't even choose to play softball. My parents kind of forced me, and I was like, sure, I guess I'm gonna play softball. I was more like the odd sports. Like I once did mountain biking and I really really like that. I used to do snowboarding. Like I like extreme sports because they're kind of like they're fun to watch. Um but yeah, I think like sporting events are a lot quicker than that. I think they're only like an hour to an hour and a half, but it feels like an eternity. Because I'm like, I also don't have any interest in this. Like,
Yeah,
what is
no,
going on?
I'm just like, when is this over? Why did the clock stop, but time keeps going
Right?
forward? What is happening? Why?
Like, what are we doing?
Yeah. What are we doing here? Is it
Right?
time for another hot dog? I don't know. Is it like I need to just eat something?
I will say
Kill time.
basketball is really interesting to watch. I mean, I've only watched like one or two.
Basketball would be the only thing that I give a shit about as far as sports go. I
Yeah.
agree.
Yeah. Basketball, I've watched them. Like, I haven't watched like a basketball game in real life, but at the bar. And like, it's just kind of like entertaining because I feel like things go on in the crowd. Like, if you watch what's going on in the crowd, it's kind of like people watching, and you're like, okay, like, but yeah, I definitely am not a sports girl. I try really, really hard, but it's just not a point of interest for
Not for
me.
me.
No.
But are the guys that you take, are they sports guys, or do you check in
Seems
with them
like it.
beforehand? You're like, oh no, I've got tickets. You want to go do this thing?
I usually do ask them because I know that they like the sport. So it's like whatever guy I'm talking to at the time, I'm like, oh, like I got hockey tickets and you like hockey. Do you want to come? And they're like, yeah, sure. I actually had a guy ghost me after I took him to a hockey game. I was like, that was so rude.
Like, we didn't even get to know each other. Is it me or was it the hockey?
Well, like I kind of like I knew him. Like we were like friends. But it
Yeah.
was just like so rude. I guess we weren't friends if he ghosted me, but like it was just so
Did you
rude.
meet him through online dating, or were you friends before that?
No, we met on like the dating apps, but like we were
That's I'm so embarrassed. I just said online dating. Is that like what the apps are called? Like, or is it
I
an app?
guess you could call like it is technically online dating, but yeah, I met him on the apps.
Okay.
So yeah, he was an interesting character. I'm
Oh.
like, I don't know if we were friends. I don't think we were friends. I thought we were friends. As per usual, I thought we were friends. Turns out we weren't friends. But you know what? I'd rather be delusional about us being friends than being delusional about us dating.
Yeah, there you go.
So, you know what? It's like a little bit of harmless delusion.
Yes. Like, did he ever respond back, or is he just like never again, just ghosted?
He ghosted, and then I think I messaged him like 6 months later, and I was like, "Hey," like I just like ignored the fact that he ghosted me. And we
That
just,
is so crazy to me. Like,
he was weird. I was like, he was so lucky I had no standards.
oh my God. I feel like this is normal. I hear about this all the time in the dating community. I'm married. And so I never had fucking skill or a clue to begin with prior to this. I was best friends with my husband before that all happened. So I missed the dating phase. I've been a serial monogamous. So I have no idea what dating in the real world is like, except vicariously through my friends. And it sounds fucking horrid. If somebody like ghosted me, I'm sure like once you're in it for a while, you're like, I'm just used to this shit. But I hear about it so much, I would die. Like I don't know if I would die. Like it's not that big of a deal, but like at the same time, I'm like, what the fuck? Like whatever happened and why?
You like die the first couple times it happens. You're like, this is the worst thing that's happening to me. And then you kind of get used to being ghosted. So then you're like, it happened again, whatever. See you never, stupid. And then
Why don't people like tell each other that they don't want to keep seeing each other? Is it just too much energy and emotion to just say, I'm not interested?
So.
And you're just like, you know what? If I'm not interested, then we just don't see each other again, and that's it.
I think it's like my theory is that I think people are just not used to being honest and like don't want to hurt. This is what my like theory is. I could be completely wrong. But I think it's just like they don't want to hurt the other person's feeling. Like no one likes being the bad guy. So my theory is that I just feel like people don't want to be the bad guy. Or maybe they just don't give a fuck. But for the most part, I think most of the time it's people just genuinely don't want to be the bad guy. That did nothing. All right. Okay. This should work now. Okay. Yeah. So people just don't want to be like, if they are a normal person that just has like shit kind of going on, I feel like they just ghost because they don't want to be the bad person.
Right. They don't want to be mean. They don't it's like that's like a huge thing to just like send a text message and be like, hey, today really like I realized that we're not meant for each other, and you seem
Yeah.
super sweet. Like it's like
It's
people
hard.
date a lot of people at once to try and find somebody, or
Oh yeah,
I
like
don't know,
it's
just trying to fuck. But like
yeah.
to message every person and be like, hey, it's not working. And then the possibility that that other person wants to have a conversation about it and be like, oh, that's interesting. I really like felt something with you. And I'm just like wondering, what is it about, why? Like it
Yeah,
just
it's
goes on and
anxiety.
on. They're like,
Yeah.
let's just call it a day.
Like no one will just take the whole like I feel like no one just takes like a text or someone being like, "Hey, I'm just not feeling it." Like no one really takes it as well as you think. I mean, they might, but I don't know, it's hard. Like I've ghosted, like kind of like confession time. I've ghosted before and I've kind of done the like kind of like stringing them out cuz it is really awkward to do it.
I
And like
bet.
I'm like
I don't like
I
hurting people's feelings. It's the
no.
fucking worst.
And so I'm like I can't really complain about being ghosted when I do it to other people and that probably
That is
makes
just the dating game, I guess.
yeah, and it like trust me, I feel like an asshole and after I've kind of been like why did I do that? But like that's why I say like I feel like it's just like the anxiety because you don't know how that person's going to react. And then also kind of like you just don't want to hurt that person's feelings cuz like there have been times where I've gone out with a guy and I'm like there's literally nothing wrong with you, but it's just like there's something just missing there.
Right. Yeah, it's
So,
just not like I'm not feeling it.
yeah, and then I hate it when you're going for a guy and or you're like talking to a guy and people are like you should go for him. He's so nice and it's like I don't want just a nice guy though. Like yeah, I want them to like be like respectful and nice, but I also kind of want that like connection. I'm not going to just go for someone just because they're nice.
Yeah,
Like
absolutely.
I'm definitely one of those
What more do you have to offer?
right? Like I'm one of those people that like I actually need to connect with the person in order to like date them. And I think like in this like dating app world, it's hard because people want to be like straight from we met on the dating app to like the pipeline of like we're dating within like 3 dates. And it's like, whoa, 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 whoa,
Oh
whoa.
my god. Can we get to know each other?
right? Like,
That okay, so question for you actually.
yeah.
What are the 3 icks that you have when it comes to like guys? What are your like hard nose? Like what is something that keeps your interest?
So my 3 icks, oh my god, I don't even know. What are my icks?
Because if you've had to like ghost people before, what were the reasons that it was a no?
One was like one guy I ghosted because he was just way too nice. And I'm just not you just like
Do we like okay? Do we like men that are mean to us and not nice to us, or
I
do
kind
we
of want you to be a dickhead, like in a playful way. Like I don't want you to be like,
don't take it like too far, right?
yeah,
Like
don't
be the
traumatize
good
me.
guy, but like have like a little bit of like an attitude. Like
Yeah, like I don't want to be able to walk all over you. Like
yes, I am the
because
same way.
I
Some
will.
some women love that though.
Yeah,
I know people who are like I am the alpha partner and I'm gonna fucking walk all over this guy, and that is what's hot to me is being the boss, and
yeah,
he's gonna do as I say, and he's gonna serve me, and that's the relationship. And some guys enjoy that. I am not. I like want somebody who's like equally on my level, but then
yeah,
like also like even like a little bit more persistent.
yeah.
Somebody
Like
that I can like has an opinion that also may or may not match mine, so I can also expand and learn and grow. But then also
exactly.
like somebody else who has fire.
Yeah, like if I'm being an asshole, I want you to be able to call me out on it. Like I don't
Yeah.
want you to just take it and then like
Be like,
complain to
okay,
your
you're
friends about
perfect and you're beautiful and there's nothing wrong. You're like,
yeah,
okay,
and then
no, but
like it's like I don't want a people pleaser. So I think maybe my one of my icks is like guys that are people pleasers because I don't want a people pleaser. I want
somebody's
someone
confident.
someone well yeah, confidence is another one. That I guess that's another ick is like guys that aren't confident in themselves. You can kind of tell when they're not really confident with themselves. Just like how do you like really I mean, you can just tell. You just get that vibe. You're like, I feel like you're not really kind of confident with yourself. And I think another ick is when they think they know better than you and you kind of get that vibe they think they know better than you because you're a girl and they're a
Oh
guy.
my god,
I've had
absolutely
so many
not.
conversations like that. I'm just like, yo, why are you fighting me right now? Like, are we not friends? Like,
Oh god, yeah. Like
I'm just like,
mansplaining things or just trying to
it's
be this
weird,
like you're the little woman and I'm the guy. Absolutely not. Like
right?
in many ways we are equals, but at like different times. Like it's like a dance. It's
Yeah.
like you're heavy leaning into it now and then I'm leaning into it and we both have come with our strengths and weaknesses, but
Yeah.
yeah,
Like,
absolutely not.
it shouldn't be like, I'm a man and you're a woman. It's like, we're humans. Like, the
Yes.
gender literally does not have anything to do with anything. Like,
No, we all have a masculine, feminine, and like
yeah.
merging of the two qualities within us.
Yeah. And like, I've had guys before where they're like definitely drinking that Kool-Aid where it's like, there is men and then there's women. And I'm like, you know what? If you're going to act like that, you're probably not the guy for me. So I don't like, the thing is, I also don't like the word. I mean, does ick really describe it? I guess it's just like things I just don't like. Because there's people
Yeah.
out there that are like, yes, I want to play the women role and I want to play the man role. But I think for me, I'm just like, let's just take gender out of this. Like,
Yeah.
we just be on the same playing field.
Mm-hmm.
So, but things that I like that guys do. I once had a guy that used to share music with me.
That's nice.
I
I like
really
that.
liked it. Like, I've got some pretty good bangers from that guy. Um,
Music taste, I feel like, is also a part of your personality. It's
yeah,
like, how, like,
right?
what are the deeper levels of you? Like, what are you listening to? Like, what is the music of, like, this is gonna sound so dumb, but like, what is the music of like your vibe, of your soul, like your personality,
No, but
of like
it's
who you are? Like,
true.
that's like a thing. It's like if a guy's like coming in hard with like some country ass music, that's a no.
Like the typical like I have noticed that me and the typical Vancouver white dude, we just don't have anything in common. Cuz they're listening to like, I mean, I don't get me wrong, I do.
What are they listening to? What is the Vancouver white dudes listening to?
I feel like they listen to like, maybe I'm just like super stereotyping this and people are going to listen and be like, okay. I feel like they listen to like whatever's playing on like the Peak, Coldplay,
They're
Red
like,
Hot Chili Peppers.
okay, they're kind of like,
hipstery.
I was gonna say hipsters. Is like,
There's nothing wrong with it.
is hipster still a thing? And
Yeah.
that is so true. I'm
It's
just
so
like,
2012, but hipster is a thing.
okay,
Yeah,
good. Yeah,
yeah.
they're still hipsters
They're,
around.
like, yeah, you know what? I love that for them, but it's just, it's not for me. I'm more of, I don't even know what kind of music I like. Like, I go through phases with genres. Like right now, ambient music because
Okay, yeah.
but it's like to help my anxiety. But yeah, like I just like you said, like music is like a big thing kind
Yeah.
of thing. And like that is one thing I really like want to connect with someone is like, do we have the same things in common? So that's another thing that I like about guys. I'm like, if we find something in common, then that's great.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know, I just haven't really met someone that's made me go, I actually kind of want to date you. So that's what one thing I'm starting to learn about myself is like, I just haven't met someone that I'm just like, you know what, this would be really cool to date this guy. But like, I want something mutual, you know? I don't want it being like, I'm chasing them, they're chasing me. It's kind of like we're meeting in the middle.
Yeah, exactly.
But it's like, people want this, like, I don't know, it feels like sometimes people want this like great theatrical, like, he chased me and like, you know, he won me over. And it's just like, can we just like be normal? Like, I just.
Yeah, can we just fucking be normal people?
I just like, I want to be able to text you and be like, hey, want to hang out?
and get
not
a normal person response being like, yeah, Thursday works for me. I'm working and have a thing on the other days.
yeah, like I
Like,
just
instead
I
of just like,
don't-
I didn't text her back right away, or I didn't text him back right
Ugh.
away, or them back because
I know, like,
I-
wait 3 hours to
yes,
text
it would be
him,
too
or-
soon. I'm like, motherfucker, when I look at my phone, I'm texting you back.
Yeah, like
Or I forgot because I have
like
ADHD.
I don't put any thought into the actions I do. Like I used to when I was younger, like younger as in like 2 years ago. But like
we
I
were
was
all younger 2 years ago.
exactly. But yeah, so I don't like, I used to be like, oh, I should wait like a day or two to text him and like all that kind of stuff. And I'm like, now I'm like, fuck that. Like, if I want to talk to you, I'm gonna do it.
Yeah.
And you know what? If you find it weird, then you're weird.
Then you're fucking weird because you're playing a
Yeah.
game that I'm not playing.
You're trying to play like checkers, and I'm like, I'm not even at this board right now. Like, I'm
You're like, I'm literally over here, like, again, playing ambient music and
right, giving myself a sound bath,
having a
like,
glass of wine. Like, what are you fucking doing over
probably
there?
watching like King of Hill, like
Yes. Oh my God, King of Hill. Who is watching that right now?
me.
I love it.
I'm just like, I'm out here just doing my own thing. Like, if you're gonna add stress and drama to my life, I probably don't want you because I've had enough of that.
Yeah, you're like, bitch, I am just over here watching King of the Hill. Can you just get
Exactly.
on my level?
And having
Or-
my edibles. And
Yeah, just being a human. I'm not online posting right now. I'm just doing my shit.
yeah,
being a person.
exactly. I don't know. Men are just sometimes they're really great. Like, I can't hate on all men. I can't hate on men in general because I'm like boy crazy. But at the same time, I'm just like, you know, if you were just so not you, you would be so much better. Like, there's so many guys where I'm like,
They're better for somebody else.
right? I'm just like, I mean, I know I'm kind of going to contradict myself here, and I've said that like I
That's
haven't
human
met
nature,
someone.
though.
I haven't met someone that I want to date. And it's like, no, actually, well, if I'm being honest, I have met a couple of people that I'm like, yeah, you know what? I would date you, but you just are not what I want because you're just not at that level that I want. I think I kind of want someone that's like mature and
Yeah.
isn't going to like take things because like I'm like, I just want it to be neutral. Like, I don't want there to be like a roller coaster. Like, I've had that roller coaster, like toxic relationship. I've had in one. And I'm like, that was good enough. I don't need any more in the rest
I
of my
don't need
life.
that experience
No.
anymore. I'm good.
I had that.
I'm grown.
Yeah, exactly. I'm like, I don't want that toxic relationship ever again. I just
Yeah.
want something that's normal. And I find that like a lot of people, I feel like sometimes they're not used to like having like a normal relationship. They're kind of used to having like toxic relationships. So when it's kind of like normal, it's boring, which I get. Cause like I'm like I said earlier, like, oh, that guy was too nice.
Right. But I feel like there's like a balance. I feel like that's like on the other side of things. There's like too nice and too toxic. And you shouldn't be toxic ever. But everybody has something to work through. We don't show up in
Yeah.
our relationships perfect. And I feel like
That's
if you're
true.
too nice, then you're showing up too perfectly and too contrived. And it's like, okay, well, we all have issues to work through. Relationships help us realize that because they can mirror back to us, or they can also confront us about our own shit,
Yeah.
but also be hopefully loving and supportive enough to be honest with us,
yeah.
and vice versa. And if there's love there, then you help each other through it. And that's the whole support. But yeah, I don't think that either is a good thing. I think that both are just like some form of trauma that's happened to you that you feel like you need to be like hyper masculine
Yeah.
or like just be walked all over. Or some people, I don't know, that's the role that they play and they
Yeah,
love it and they want to find people that match that and are interested in it.
Yeah, like do whatever makes you happy. It's just for me, I kind of want it to be like, I don't know, like I've thought about this so long and hard because I'm like, what do I want in a partner? Because like I've worked so much on myself. And like I feel like there's things about yourself that you learn when you're in a relationship.
Definitely.
And I just like cuz like I've done the work on myself and I'm kind of like, well, I would like to have like a partner, but like I'm also not going to rush into anything because I'm like for me I need to go slow because it kind of like freaks me out when people want to go fast and I'm like, mm-mm. Like I need to
Yeah.
go slow cuz like I don't like I need to gain your like well you need to gain my trust
And I need to know you. Like I really like want
Right?
to like ultimately we're becoming friends here too.
Yeah,
like we're becoming
exactly.
best friends and I want to like get to know the person that I'm committing to.
Yeah, and like I think sometimes people are really quick to just slap a label on something and it's like why don't we just take our time? Like what's the rush? Like
Yeah, but also and be aware of that like that there might be something in this and not be like I'm afraid of the label, so like I'm
Yeah.
just fucking around, but also like let's just like take it slow and get to know each
Exactly,
other
like,
and yeah, like
there's-
if you are a life partner, then I want to know you over time.
yeah, like Rome wasn't built in a day.
Yeah.
So
And like fuck this mask stuff. Like people just like show up as one type of person when they're dating so they can attract people. And then as soon as they start dating them, it's like, all right, I'm too tired to like keep that mask up and
right,
masquerade and I'm just gonna be who I am now. And you're like, who are you? Who am I dating? Like, why are we having
right,
problems? Actually, I never liked this person to begin with. I didn't even know you were this person.
yeah, yeah. Like I try not to do that because I'm like, what you see is what you get, and if you don't like it, then that's fine. You don't have to like me, but
Yeah. It's
yeah,
also like another reason why I do not like putting filters and like shit on my Instagram photos
yeah,
in general because I feel like if I start doing that, then I am going to like that person better the way that they look. I'm gonna think they're prettier, I'm gonna think their skin's better, I'm gonna think all of that. And then I'm going to stop liking what I actually see in the mirror or how I do my makeup and like how I show up in the
oh yeah,
world.
totally,
Or like be afraid of like if people see me in person, they're gonna be like, this person looks nothing like their picture.
right,
So even though I don't always love the photos that I post, I'm just like, fuck it. I'm ugly and that's the way it's going to be. And that's the way I feel. So this is just who I am. And I better get like comfortable and know that and be okay with it.
oh totally. Like I'm the same way. Like I don't like using filters at all.
I'm not saying I never have, but
Oh
I'm just
yeah,
saying like
I think we all have used filters. Like I
yeah,
used to be like queen of using filters on
they
my
look
Instagram.
beautiful.
Yeah, that sometimes I'm like, I just want to put a filter on because it just like smooths everything out.
Right. Like, like make myself look like how I see myself or
Yeah, but yeah, like when filters kind of took off in like 2016 and stuff like that, I tried really, really hard not to use filters just because I'm like, I don't want, like, I already struggle enough with my body image. I don't want to add that layer of like, oh, I don't look like how I look on the internet and stuff like that. It's
yeah.
actually kind of funny because I'm so good at like not using filters. This is last summer. I went out with a guy and like the first time we went out, he was like, "You look even better in person than you do in your pictures." I was not expecting
Oh
that.
my God, that is the best compliment.
I know. I was like, "Okay, why is that?" He's like, "Because everyone uses filters on Instagram and stuff
He's
like
probably
that."
been like dating around. He's like, you look nothing like your picture.
Yeah, and then he's like, "But you look better in person." I was not expecting that. And I was like, "Okay, thank you." Like,
Okay. Thanks.
I'm like, yeah, I don't fuck around on the internet. Because I'm
Yeah.
like, because that, you know how much anxiety that would give you probably? Like knowing that you've like face tuned and like altered your body on Instagram. And then you go,
Totally. And
like,
you show up and you look nothing like that
yeah,
person.
right? Like I'm so scared. Like I'm already scared enough. Like I'm like, I've never altered my photos or anything. I'm still scared going up to that person. I'm like, what if I don't look like how I do on the internet? Because like posing and stuff like that, right? So I'm like, oh my God, what if like I look terrible in person? They're like, you look nothing like your pictures.
Yeah, you're like, oh my God. And then like I am like, I'm okay with surgery. I want surgery someday. I'm gonna
Yeah.
get it. I don't give a fuck. I'm gonna do it. And but I still just like I don't want to like get surgery to change how I look. I just want to look like myself. I want to
Yeah.
like stay looking the same. I want to stay
Yeah,
looking consistent
exactly.
and maybe like a little bit better. But then I think it gets crazy when it's like, I want to look a little bit better. Okay, look like this now. Now make me look a little bit better. Okay, look like this now.
Right?
Now make me look touch better. And like you just like change so much that you look like a different person. And like I'm cool with like body modifications and like changing like if that's
Yeah.
what you want and
Oh, yeah,
you are truly
totally.
happy and it is not like a like I need to change how I look and it is now out of control and I have like a crazy dysmorphia that I need to work on because I don't actually see myself how I am. But like a little bit of surgery, I'm into
Yeah,
it.
like if you want to enhance your beauty, then go for it. Like I would do it too. Like trust me, if I were rich, I would not look like this. I would have a personal trainer. Like if I were rich, it'd be over for you bitches. Like I would be
If I was richer, smarter, better,
right.
cooler, faster, more articulate, it would just
I would
be fucking
be
over.
it would
be the
be
best
I
person
would be
ever.
queen. Like I would be on top of the world.
Listen, I'd be fucking Beyonce right now.
Right?
I would be fucking on top
I don't know
of
if I
my
would
shit.
want to be Beyonce, but yeah, like if I had money, like I would have personal trainer. I would be doing Pilates like nobody's business.
I'd be doing nothing but looking good.
like I'm not even joking you. Those Pilates girls, they like,
They love that shit.
but they look so great. I mean, it doesn't help that most of them, they're already like thin. I have yet to come across a curvy Pilates girl. Maybe I should start a new trend. But it's just like so much work because it's
Mm.
like,
Yep.
yeah, like like if I were rich, I would be the curvy Pilates girl. I would maybe try to get myself to like green juice a little bit more. I would have a personal
Have a couple
chef.
of green juices. Oh my god, have a chef. And I like cooking, but sorry, like or like get somebody to up the cleaning. I would
Right?
have like somebody cleaning all day long. Yep.
Yeah, I would just like be my full potential. But the thing is, I'm poor. So I'm not reaching my full potential anytime
You know
soon.
what? But when you win at that sporting event and you win all that money,
Right?
shit, you know how you're spending it.
Either that or I'm getting my big break and I'm going to be rich. And I'm
That's
going to
it.
be like,
You're gonna make
yeah.
money on that money. hmm
But yeah, I don't think the Pilates girls know how easy they have it. Like, I'm like, you're just so lucky.
You're just like having your hot girl, or is it a chill girl summer? You were saying.
I'm having a chill girl summer. It's like I've tried doing the hot girl summer and it's like, it's too much pressure.
Yeah,
I'm like in my chill girl era, I think.
I think people are in their chill era. And I think that's also like, I'm like, that's another reason why I came up with this podcast. And that's also another reason why I think our ideas and our this doing this collab makes sense is because you're like, I am just trying to be real as
Yeah,
fuck. I'm just
no,
like
totally.
trying to do podcasts from my bed and who gives a fuck. And
Right?
I'm like, I want to just talk about what's on people's minds for real and talk
Or
about
like
what they're struggling with.
Yeah, or like topics that don't really get talked about. Like,
Yeah.
you know, like you hear about it, but like, what am I trying to say? Like,
People present them in a way that's like very cookie cutter and they're like, I'm
Yeah,
dealing
like-
with this so that way I can relate to the masses.
yeah, like for example, therapy. Like, I feel like people think that like when I say like I've been to therapy for 3.5 years, people probably think that I've talked to my therapist about everything. And I'm like, no, that's not necessarily true. Like, there's some things that I have a really hard time talking to my therapist about some things because it's just like who
Yeah.
I am. Like, it's hard when you're dealing with like layers of like trauma and like being open to people and stuff like that. Like, that's what I struggle with. So that's probably why I like have not met anybody, because I'm like, I struggle so hard opening up and I'm like, I get so scared. And I'm like,
It's scary as fuck.
the
I
second
can
I
feel
get,
into
like-
that. Yes.
like the second I feel like the person's like not interested, or like they're just like the energy is off, whether that be it actually be off or if like I feel like it's off, I'm like, nope, wall's going back up. And it's
Mhm.
funny because I've actually had guys tell me, they're like, yeah, I didn't know if you actually were into me. I was like, no, I was into you. I'm just mentally emotionally fucked up.
We all are. They're fucked up
no,
too.
Yeah, no, I know.
But still.
Some
like,
people just take
totally.
it to a whole new level, like myself.
Yes, it goes back to like, I'm the trash garbage and you're just mentally ill. So.
Yeah, mental illness in
You have
it.
4 brain cells. So
Yeah, my 4 brain cells, my mental illness. I never really had a running chance.
Yeah. We're all just fucking trying out here.
Yeah, we're trying our best. Some people not so much, some people more than others, but for the most part, we're all trying our best.
I think this wine actually just hit me.
Oh wow.
I know I'm a lightweight.
I'm
Literally, I was
trying-
just like, I'm feeling kind of fuzzy.
I'm trying to like, because I don't know how
should
they're
be
gonna
very
react
slow.
with the meds, because like the psychiatrist, when she prescribed them to me, she was like, just don't get drunk. And I'm like, okay, I'll try not to, but like one glass of wine.
I can't. But I have a podcast coming up, so I'm gonna be getting
Well, it's
drunk.
also that I'm like, girl,
I can pour
I'm
some
a-
more.
Oh yeah, go
Okay.
for it. I'm just like, girl, I am a cheap date. You don't know what I'm capable of.
You know what? 2 drinks. If I have 3 drinks, I'm fucked
right.
up. If I have 4, I don't even remember the night.
Oh wow.
I like going for cocktails like socially, but I'm like, when am I ever getting dressed up and going for cocktails socially?
Right? Why does a cocktail
I don't even
cost
drink at restaurants. I'm like,
$12?
no, absolutely not. I'm like, I'm not spending my money on that. I am
Right?
gonna have water or I'm gonna have a ginger ale.
It's
That's it.
such a waste of money. Like I said, like, why does a cocktail cost $12 to $16? Like, what are you putting in this?
There's like nothing. They're putting water in it. They're putting ice cubes.
It's so expensive to go out. Plus, like, I get such bad like hangovers. that I'm
My
like,
hangovers last 2 days now.
yeah,
Like, this is nice because it's, like, social and we're drinking, like, while we're doing this,
yeah,
but, like, I would never, like, go home and have a glass of wine. Like, I've had bosses that are like, "Yeah, I'd have shower beers when I'd go home and then slam them back and then go to
yeah. I've known
bed
people like
because it,
that
like,
too.
helps people sleep." I
Yeah.
think so many people have sleeping problems that they're like, "I just have a drink and go to bed." But alcohol is not good for your sleep. You don't sleep well.
Oh, really? Well, I guess
Yeah.
that makes sense. Yeah. For me, it's edibles. Like I mean, I'm pretty wholesome when it comes to substances. Like I only drink and
Yeah.
I do weed. That sounds so weird to say.
I do the weed.
I do the devil's
So many
lettuce.
people smoke weed too, and, like,
Yeah. Well, I'm an edibles girl. Like I tell people I do edibles and they're like, they act like it's like the
oh, it's
craziest.
like class. You're like, "Oh, you're having, like, an edible? Oh, edible
Well,
caviar?"
you get so like fucked up on edibles. Like people are like,
You do, it's like a whole body high, right?
oh yeah, I love it. It's like Ativan almost.
You know
Like
what's funny? I've never actually done edibles in my life. I
they're
don't
so
even
much
smoke
fun.
weed. Like, I haven't smoked weed in many years, like, at
I don't like
least, like,
smoking
probably
it
a decade.
compared to, like smoking it your high lasts like 10 minutes. It's like if I am going to get high, I want to go big or go home. I'm very much like that when
Are
it
you like that with drinking too? You're like, "I
oh
wanna
yeah,
get
like
drunk."
I literally that is my attitude when it comes to anything. Go big or go home. Like
Yeah, we're doing this or we're not.
yeah,
You wanna talk
exactly.
about it or you wanna be about it? Yeah.
Exactly how I feel. But other than that, I haven't really done any other substances. I remember my uncles talking to me about drugs and they scared me senseless. And
Yeah.
I
I'm
was like,
glad.
I'm
That's a good
like,
thing.
I'm not touching any of that. But alcohol, no one
Good.
talked to me about. So I was just
Yeah.
out here, just at 15, getting drunk. But
I'm not judging people who have
oh
problems with
no,
it. Like if you have an addiction, I'm not judging you for having an addiction. The world is really hard to live in, and
oh
especially
yeah,
today we have increasing pressure to show up in a way that is more and more perfect and demanding.
I really don't blame anybody for self medicating. I've done it too. I just did it with edibles and liquor. And I totally get it, what it's like to have dark demons. Like I struggle with depression. Like it's just runs in the family. Sometimes I ask myself, I'm like, what the fuck do I have to be depressed about? Like on paper, everything is like hunky dory with my life. Like I'm like a privileged white girl. Like I should be more happy. And I'm like, and so like that, like what I'm trying to say is that like I get it. I totally get it why some people do it. Like I totally get it.
I also like to think that this might be controversial, but like pain is pain. And if you haven't felt the deepest level of pain, whatever that might be to you, whatever can come to your mind, pain is pain. And you have
Yeah.
felt things, we've all been through things, and that hurts. And that changes our perspective on life. And that also, uh, if it's not being talked about, then we feel like we're somehow going through it alone. And so I just believe that pain is pain. It's not like mine's worse than yours, and that's why I've
No.
come to this point. Like it affects our brain, it affects the way we show up in the
Yeah.
world.
And like some people just genuinely have depression. Like it's just like
Some people have it's like a chemical imbalance. It's a
Like-
inherited genetics that
Yeah.
they've received.
and like sometimes it might be genetics and sometimes it might be environment or it might be a mix of both. Like for me personally, like I think it's a mix of both. I think it was environment. I had my own childhood trauma. And also it's genetics. Depression runs in my family. And I get it when people, like I said, like I get it. I totally get it why people self-medicate. I do the same thing. Like, cause like sometimes it just feels like there's just like your chest is just so tight and you just want something to just take that away. And I totally get it. And depression is like actually really rough to live with because it's like every day, like there's been times where I'm like, what am I trying to say? Like I never feel like I'm truly happy. It's like there's kind of like this thing that's like kind of like a little dark cloud's like kind of almost there. And I'm like, will I ever feel like happy? And I know happiness is like not a destination, it's a feeling and it comes and goes. But sometimes I'm like, there's always this dark cloud. And I kind of feel, like how, because Robin Williams, he suffered with depression and
Yeah.
stuff like that. So I'm sure he was like happy and like he seemed like it, but I'm sure he kind of just had like a dark cloud. Like I don't
I
know
feel
how
like the
you
funniest people too that show
right?
up like really bright and funny and try to make the best of everything are always trying to go out of their way to make sure that other people don't feel the same way that they secretly deeply
Yeah.
feel.
And like for me making other people happy makes me happy. So maybe
Yeah.
that's kind of why like I'm like, "Oh, little serotonin boost, great."
Yeah. Dopamine hit here.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. So, I mean, it's not a bad thing to have, making other people happy, and I'm like, "Cool." So, I don't know, it's just yeah, I think I've said this like 20 times. So take a shot for every time I say
I
this.
repeat myself 10,000 times in all these podcasts.
Yeah, I don't blame people for why they do things. Whether that comes to drugs, whether they ghost or whatever. I think for me, I just started realizing that people are humans and they are just as complicated as I am. And I stopped reading into their actions.
I think if there's anybody that has it figured out, then they're already wrong. I think
Yeah.
that if there's any one side that you're choosing, you're missing the point that the other side has. I think that if you feel like you figured it all out, like for me, it's true. Like the more you know, the less you know. We know
Oh,
like
yeah.
literally like 1% of an infinite range of what's out there.
Yeah.
We just human beings are so complex.
So complex. And I think we want to like realize, like, I think we want to believe that we're simple humans or we're simple creatures. But the truth is there's not. And like, I think people just want to like have an all or nothing attitude because it's easier to control.
Yeah.
But it's like,
Yeah.
no, there's like, if you have such a black and white thinking, you're going to miss out on so much color. So much color. Like, color is so
That's
much
beautifully
prettier.
put.
Right?
Yeah.
So it's like, I don't know. Like, I used to have a really black and white thinking, and it was like kind of came from like control issues, kind of, and stuff like that. And then, like, once I started letting control, life got a lot like better. It was like a lot cooler. And I'm like, there's so much to life.
There's a gradient. There's a range of existing in this planet
Right?
that people don't always want to get behind because everybody wants to have an opinion.
Yeah. And it's just, I think like you just need to start asking yourself, what is the worst that could happen? And you know what? Sometimes worse than worst case scenario happens. I've had that happen before where I was like, that wasn't even my worst case scenario. We went like below the
Oh my God.
I've had that happen before. I was like, that was not even my anxiety didn't even think of that one.
My brain didn't even fucking go there, but holy shit, we went there.
Right. And I'm like, how is this even real?
Yeah.
How did that even happen? But I think when you have worst case scenario happen enough times, and then you kind of like realize, okay, so worst case scenario has happened. I have bounced back every single time.
I'm gonna be okay.
I'm gonna be okay. And then you start asking yourself, what's the worst that's gonna happen? And if it happens, I'll bounce back. So it's just sometimes you just gotta let loose and let go of your control. Because when you try to control your life, it doesn't work because life doesn't work that way. Like you could plan all you want.
Yeah.
Trust me, I had planned by the age of 28 that I was going to be married and have kids. That ain't happening. I don't even
Yep.
I was supposed to hang out with a guy tonight and he was like, can we do a rain check? And I'm like, yeah, that's fine. Like, what am I going to do? Be like, no, you have to hang out with me. No.
Yeah, you're like, I planned this date. We're doing this.
Yeah, like I'm probably after this, I'm going to go home and watch King of the Hill.
Yeah. Perfect.
I'm like, and this is gonna be like, I get so awkward talking about this just because like I like grew up in a household that was like kind of awkward to talk about like womanly things, but I can tell when I'm ovulating
Yeah.
because I'm like I want a baby so freaking
No,
bad.
this is a real thing, and I talk about this with my girlfriends. Like there are periods in time, and I feel like that has been cured by having 2 kittens.
Oh yeah.
But like there were times where my body was telling me, okay, it is time to procreate. And I don't
Right?
even like I'm not a children's person. I never grew up around kids and I'm not into babies. But there were times I'm like, damn, that baby's so perfect and cute.
Right?
That
Like
child is so amazing. I can't wait to be a mom. Oh my God, this is adorable. And I'm like,
literally me.
whoa, 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 whoa. Is this my brain and my heart thinking? No, 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 no. This is literally like the chemicals and the hormones in my body that are trying to push me to start like making children right now. And I'm not ready. I don't
Yeah.
care. I don't care what age I am. I'm not ready, and there are ways to have children longer now, and we extend that.
Yeah.
I'm okay with that. But
Yeah.
yes, totally. Like the chemicals in your body. I got 2 cats, and that has like cured that. I'm like, these are my babies now.
Yeah, like if
I don't care about children.
I do want a dog too, and I'm like, do I want a dog more or do I want a baby? I'm like, I think I want a dog. Like I've thought about this long and hard because I'm starting to get to that age where I'm like, okay, like if I want to start like if I want to start thinking about having like kids and a family, like I should probably start like
Fuck it. You can just keep going.
I
Look at
know.
Paris Hilton. She's like in her 40s, and she
That's
just had
true.
her first baby. She's just been partying and looking beautiful and having fun.
That's true actually.
Not that she's a real person. She is a real person, but just again, the persona is another thing. I want to talk about her on another podcast actually. I find her interesting.
Paris Hilton? Yeah.
Yes.
I'd be down for that. Like
Yeah. She's an interesting person.
Yeah, I love Paris Hilton. Well, I don't like yeah, do I love
You're like,
her?
do I love celebrities or do I? Yeah, I like her. I like what she's got
Yeah.
going on. Yeah. I like her now today.
Yeah. I think I kind of gain a little bit of sympathy for her after that documentary that came out, and I kind of
Yeah.
like you kind of like she was a mean girl, let's be real. Like she was
I swear she was. And then like things just kind of leveled her out. And then you also understood like a little bit about how she is and why.
Yeah, like
and,
most
interesting.
mean girls, they like I'm not excusing their behavior, and I think that like there's like a whole thing that I have about mean girls. But I mean, I'm one of those people that have empathy for anybody.
Yeah.
And I have a little bit of empathy for them because I feel like sometimes and most of the times mean girls went through some like rough shit that made them the way that they are. And I'm like, what did you go through to like that made you this way? Like you obviously didn't get a running because no one I don't think anyone I mean the whole debate is like are people inherently evil or are they like taught that way and no one
Right.
it's hard. I mean, I feel like some people are inherently evil, like sociopaths, psychopaths, because there's something going
Yeah,
on.
there's chemical imbalance.
Yeah,
and
like wires
misinterpretation
didn't
of
get
life.
wires didn't get connected correctly in their brain and stuff like that. So I genuinely do think, but like no one chooses to be a psychopath or a sociopath.
No.
No one like that was one thing that I've really realized lately. No one chooses to be the person that they are. Like sometimes they're just like that. And yeah, people could
We make choices that lead us to become the person that we are, and then one day you wake up and you're like, oh, this is the person I am. Or
Yeah.
you might even not care.
And I think sometimes I tell people all the time I'm like big Disney princess energy because I just like sunshine and rainbows and the birds are singing and everyone is my friend and all that.
Yes.
But I also give sympathy to people that are comfortable in the way that they are because it is really, really hard to change yourself. It is hard to do better. And how are you supposed like I said, how are you supposed to do better when you don't know better? So I think sometimes people they know they need to change, but they get so comfortable in who they like their life that it's like it's hard. It's scary. Like
Well, you think of like starting out as a kid. You're like this empty vessel.
yeah.
And then the further you go, all these people that you're supposed to listen to, like all these adults that you're like, okay, these people are teaching me. Oh, wow. It sounds like a really scary world out there. Oh, wow. That's like, okay. Oh, you're telling me I'm this? Okay, well, I trust you and I believe you because you're an adult and I believe that. And all these other kids are experiencing the same thing and they're getting different perspectives from the adults around them. And then you're
Yeah.
going to school and you're getting different perspectives as well. And then they're telling you what the adults in their life are telling. And it's like all these like veils start to cover you. And then you're
Yeah.
like, okay, well, this is just how I am and how I operate. But it's like, it's not true.
Yeah. Like you have to do the work to realize that everything you've probably been taught is probably not what you believe in. Like that is one thing I've realized. that,
Yeah.
like a lot of the stuff that like I was raised to believe, I don't believe in that. Like
I used to think that shit was fact. Like if my parents told me some shit, I was like, I'd go to school and I remember like people like fighting me over certain things, like certain ideas. And I'd be like, no, my parents told me it was this way. And they're like, no, my parents told me it was this way. And I'm like, well, then you're wrong. Because like my parents motherfucking would never lie to me.
yeah.
Absolutely not.
Right?
Like this is the truth. But it was just like, oh my God. And it's the same, like you said, like people can change. It's just a lot harder as you get older. But I don't believe that people don't change. Most people won't because
Yeah.
it takes work and it takes consistency and that's really hard.
It's a lot of work. Like as someone who has been like working on themselves and changing themselves for the better is exhausting.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of shame that goes along with it because you kind of like wake up and you realize that, like, oh, I kind of was an asshole.
Mm-hmm.
So you have that, and trust me, the shame part, you're like, I wish I could go back and change a lot of things. It's like you said, it's consistency. It's not going to be easy. There's going to be times where you're like, fuck. But like for me, I think I just was like, I want to be better and I'm not going to stop. So, but I find that I get obsessed over the fact that I'm not, like, I'm like striving for perfection. And that's one thing that I'm really, really trying to not do. So, like, I'm trying to let go of my idea of perfection because
What is your idea of perfection? Is it like the way that you look and show up in the world, or is it like your perfect career? Like, what is
perfection for me is the way that I look, but that again stems from because like my dad was like really like like he would get mad at me if like he would buy me white shoes and my shoes would get dirty. I'm a kid. And he would get mad because they weren't white still.
Yeah.
So like
yeah.
my dad like had OCD and he took it to like a whole new level. So I think for me it kind of got like image was everything to him, I guess is what I'm trying to say. So I feel like I have that vain image, like your image matters so much. And it's like I'm trying to let go of that because it's like I think deep down below me as an actual person doesn't actually care about that.
Yeah.
But I've been not brainwashed, but taught to believe that image is everything.
That voice is in your head.
Yeah. And like, I think that's like one thing that's really confusing when you're in your 20s and you're kind of trying to change yourself for the better and work on your trauma. You kind of go through this period where you're like, everything I kind of believe in and like have been taught, I don't actually believe in that. Like there's like you're trying to figure out who you are as your own person, and
yeah, you're trying to take off all that shit I was talking about. You're like, no, that person said I was like this, and people perceive me as I'm not fucking. Actually, I'm gonna just take that off and throw that away because that is actually not who I am. Because like those are like all voices in your head. I'm this, I'm that, I'm this way, and it's like, no, I actually don't think that. That's somebody else's voice, and I'm gonna get rid of that because that's not me.
Yeah, and it's just you're late. I mean, for me personally, your late 20s are just like I'm 28, so like I'm in my late 20s. But it's just so confusing. Like every day I'm like, who the hell am I? I don't know who the hell I am anymore. Like I don't know who I am. I look at pictures of myself from like 2 years ago. I'm like, who the fuck is that? Like,
yeah.
Who am I? And it's very confusing.
I think like every year you're like, if you're working on yourself, you're like, okay, I'm shedding layers of what the fuck I thought I needed to be, and I'm like becoming more confident, and your brain is now fully developed. You're past 25, so you're like, okay, like I'm like just now I'm just coming into myself. It's almost like I feel like your teens end at like 25. We should like extend that,
right?
Like after 25, you're like, okay, I'm an adult now. Like I'm becoming mature. I got this. I'm gonna start focusing on who I am and realizing who that is and being cool with that. Like,
yeah, I have a theory that you go through a second puberty in life.
I like that.
And like the second puberty should happen in your 20s. Sometimes people don't have it because I feel like sometimes that they peak in their 20s and then you stay that age forever. So there's also that because people do peak. They do peak in their teens and then they also do peak in their 20s. I mean, you can peak at any point. And that's like one of my biggest fears. I'm like, I do not want to peak.
I don't want to peak. I don't want to peak.
I just want to keep getting better and better and better. I mean, I could peak at 40 and be like, stay that forever. But
yeah.
But yeah, I genuinely do think people go through a second puberty and like people sometimes have it happen earlier and some people have happen like late bloomers and stuff like that. I mean, because everyone says, what is it? Your like frontal cortex or whatever.
Exactly. Like
develops, but it's not
cortex,
like
frontal cortex.
Yeah, whatever that. I'm not a science girly. I don't know. Frontal something.
Yes, it is. Their frontal lobe, let's say.
Yeah. It develops at 25, but I mean, not everything's perfect. So not everyone's going to happen. Some people may have that happen at 24. Some people may have that happen at 27.
Yeah.
So it's a very interesting age because like for me, I'm kind of like realizing, like looking around, I'm like, okay, so some people are maturing and some people are not. And I think I'm one of those people that I'm just like, I just don't take it that seriously. And some people do take it seriously. But I also think at this age, the only way you're going to mature is you have more life experience.
Yeah.
So that is like
it's true.
At this point, the only way you will mature is getting more life experience. Whether that be, traveling solo. I recommend it 100%.
I do too.
Travel by yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Go to a city that you have no idea. Like, you
go to a country that you've no idea.
Yeah, like, I mean, I haven't done that yet, but
please do. If
I've done a couple solo
early mid-20s, fucking do it.
Yeah, like I've gone on a couple solo trips. I will tell you right now, your anxiety is going to ruin the trip, probably.
It is going to fuck things up for you.
Like, both solo trips set up, because I've done 2. Both solo trips I've done, and I'm just a very, very anxious person, and it's no fault of my own. But my anxiety ruined my trips, probably both of them. I could have had more fun if I wasn't so anxious. But if you're like me, your anxiety is going to ruin your trip. Just giving you a heads up.
Oh my God.
People are probably going to be like, I do not want to do solo traveling. It's like, no, just keep
I had this plan. I'm canceling my ticket right now because that sounds, I'm going to fuck this up.
But you will be okay. But yeah, so in LA, I was like, I'm going to bus everywhere. And they were like, it was fine, but I was going to the Stuzzy store in LA, and I was like, okay,
is that how you say it, Stuzzy?
I think I'm pretty sure.
Saying it wrong.
No, you said it right. I'm pretty sure.
I've been calling it Stussy.
Maybe it's that.
I've
maybe
also heard it as
saying
Stussy. I'm like, I fucking have no idea.
Someone's gonna be like, it's Stussy, but I'm calling it
Stuzzy. I'm like really trying hard this episode to look like I am dumb and sound dumb. I'm like, I don't know, Stussy, Stussy. Fuck.
I think it's Stuzzy, but no one has corrected me, so I don't know.
I'm gonna just go with what you're going with.
I mean, I can't pronounce words right. I actually got fired for being a trivia host.
What?
Yeah, I was a trivia host for like 3 weeks, and I got fired because I couldn't pronounce words right.
No way.
Yeah, I was like, sorry, I'm dumb. Like,
sorry. Fucking sorry. Fine. Like, have AI do it then. If you want things to be done right, have AI do it then, because it's not me. Have a robot.
Right?
There's a personality in this human, and it is saying things wrong.
I didn't know it was that serious. But I mean, I guess I get it. I don't know. They just didn't like me. It was not the job for me. And I was like, okay, that's fair.
And you're like, I'm good. You know what? This is the best thing that ever happened to me.
Right?
What's up, listeners? I have had every tragic scenario happen to me while trying to get this podcast off the ground. I have had many wins, but also probably a lot more losses. And if I'm honest with you, I've tried what feels like every single podcasting platform out there that's available, and I have also had some major losses with them. And I'm not naming names here, but things weren't going so well until I found Zencastr, and I knew that this was the right place to be. They make it easy for uploading and editing your podcasts. You can record remote podcasts here with high quality sound. They can help you get rid of the ahs, the ums, and the awkward pauses, all right here in their platform. And I encourage you give it a try because honestly, I have done all the work for you and you can stop looking now. You're in the right place. Go to zencastr.com/pricing and use my code Hypersensitive and you'll get 30% off your first month of any Zencastr paid plan. I want you to have the same easy experiences I do for all my podcasting and content needs. It's time to share your story. Well, Hershey has joined us while we took a brief commercial break.
She's so cute.
And she's just going to chill.
But yeah, I think I've just come to the conclusion when it comes to dating that I just don't know what I want anymore. And I'm just going off of vibes. Like, I can't put pressure on things because I don't know. Because you're probably not going to figure it out within like the first time you hang out with someone. And I find it so weird when people are like, I just wasn't feeling it. I was getting more of a friend vibe. And it's like, yeah, because like, I feel like people have been meant to believe that there's going to be like this instant spark and like, yeah, that exists. Like, you should probably like find the person attractive and like, you're probably going to have like a little bit of excitement, but there's not going to be this like, oh my God, you're the one. That probably doesn't actually exist.
And if it does, it might be your person, or like, I always find that like, and we've had a conversation about this, about things that peak too early, like things that are really like hot and heavy immediately, typically burn out just as quick.
Yeah.
So I think the slow build is like the sexiest. I think that it is the
Oh
most
yeah.
real.
I feel like the dating apps, because like dating has kind of changed. I'm gonna say it because of pandemic. Because like how else were you supposed to date during a pandemic? You had to use dating apps.
Yeah, I think people like like shipped in together. Like they just like moved in together. Like you're
Yeah.
like you're the only person I'm talking to. Do you want to come over and be in my bubble? Like that was insane.
But I think the dating apps have kind of taken that away because like you think because you're on a dating app you like have like it's an and like you have to just immediately start dating. And it's like, yeah, we could like start dating, but it doesn't have to be anything serious like right away. I think for me, it's just like I'm just so like not taking it like a little bit seriously, but at the same time not. And I mean, every day my mind changes, but I think like most people on the dating apps are just taking it way too seriously, and I'm like, let's just turn it down a notch.
Hmm.
And I don't know, it's just weird dating.
You also probably like, how long have you been single?
Like 3.5 years.
So you probably also get used to like doing your own thing, and you're like, oh, this is gonna
Yeah.
be change to be in a relationship. Do
Yeah,
you find like there's probably a part of you that resists being in a relationship because that means that there's gonna be change in your routine and the way you live your life?
I think now that I kind of, because like I didn't really have my own life before. I think it's only been in the last like year and a half that I've really started having my own life, that I'm starting to get to a point where I'm like, yeah, it would be a lot of change to have someone in my life. Like I like even like on the way here because I think about everything. Like I never just can never not have a thought. I just consistently have a thought, and I've actually asked myself before. I'm like, I just never cannot think. There's actually people out there that don't have thoughts. So I'm like, I want to be one of the, I wish I was born that way. Like people are just born not having an inner dialogue.
Oh yeah, not having an inner dialogue, that blows my mind.
Right? Like
if you were out there, who are you?
Yeah, right? Like I'm so jealous
I'm
of you.
narrating the fuck out of my life. I'm talking, I'm having images, I'm having stories. I'm like having flashbacks of dreams. Like
Right?
what like there's a lot going on up there. There's
My
some
biggest
dusty
thing
boxes.
is that like I'm fantasizing about, I don't know, men. I'm just so boy crazy. Like,
is that just like this era of your life, or was
I've
that
always been boy crazy? I remember when I was like 5, I tried kissing like my mom's friend, and he did not consent to that. And that is
your
when
mom's friend?
my mom's like, sorry, my mom's friend. No, my mom's friend's kid. Like we all.
Okay, I'm like, damn, like you were like a child kissing like
no,
another
no.
This is next level.
No. Yeah, my mom's friend's kid who was like 8 and I was 5, and he did not consent to that. And that is when I learned about consent.
You're like,
we
okay,
were at like
this person doesn't want
Disneyland,
to.
and my mom was like, "You just can't kiss boys just because." Like, my mom should have just known at the age of 5 I was gonna be a problem. My dating history, I feel like, is not normal to everyone else's. Like,
Okay.
some of like, mostly, actually, if all of my dating experience has been off of the apps. So I feel like I've met some like freaking weirdos. Like I feel like I've only met 2 people in real life, and they ended up being weird. So I'm like, well, this doesn't really.
I've met 2 people and they're all weird.
And it was, yeah. So I was just like, I'm like, is there any difference? I don't know. But yeah, so their area codes are different. So this one guy, he was from Toronto, and the other guy that texted me, he was from Ottawa. So the area codes are different. But for some reason, I just got confused, and I was like, I don't want to talk to you right now. I was like, oh no, wait, this is the other guy.
You're like, damn it, I fucking messaged the wrong person. Now I have to talk to this person that
I get confused really easily. I mean, that's fair. There's just a lot.
There's just so many.
Yeah, there's so many. I'm a wide variety. I like to have a wide variety, but also I'm like I'm single, and some people probably don't like it because they want to be your one and only, and it's like, yeah, you'll be my one and only if I decide that.
Really? So you get that a lot then people are like, or they want to be able to date multiple people and like them be your
I
one
feel like
person.
there's a bit of like, I don't want to say shame, but I feel like there's a lot of people out there that like don't like the whole like dating other people thing, but I think that just comes down to insecurity and all that. Like, I think if you're dating on the dating apps, you should just assume that most people are dating other people. And unless you're exclusive with that person, you should probably just assume that they're dating other people. I always assume that that person is always dating someone else. I'm like, I know I'm not the only one.
Right.
And I'm like,
you're okay with it.
Yeah.
Because you're
not. And if it turns out that I'm the only one, I'm like, oh, okay, I didn't know that. But I personally just assume that I'm not the only one. And it's like, well, like I can do the same thing too. Like this is not a man's world.
No, exactly.
But yeah, so I'm just like, I can do the same too. So I usually do that too. But I've never had it where
I'm sorry, Puff is literally in the background kicking like paper and plastic.
Just being a cat. Just doing cat
just
things.
Making so much noise.
That's fine.
Buddy, come on.
But yeah, I think there's like a lot of like, not shame, but I feel like a lot of people look down on you like playing the game. Well, that sounds so stupid.
Is
playing the game.
Is people in the game playing the game that you think are like people inside the game looking down on you, or people from the outside?
I don't know. It's just like, I don't know. It's just like, I feel like we hate it when guys do it, but I'm like, you know what? We can do it too. Like, I don't know. Women can be like that song. What is that? What is that song? Women can be players too. What is it? Girls can be players too.
It's like Coiler, right?
Yeah, it's like that song, like
mm-hmm.
Grandmaster Flat or whatever.
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, and she's like,
girls is players too.
Yeah, that song. That song. It's true. But I don't know. I feel like there are some guys that are genuinely players and they actually like get a thrill out of it. And I get it. It's a great ego boost because you're like, oh, all these people are interested in me, but it's probably like they're not actually interested in you. We're all just playing the same game.
Right.
But yeah, I don't know. Just dating in your 20s is just a wild time. I'm like, do we ever like mature?
Well, especially like late 20s too. It's probably a different chapter than your early 20s.
Yeah, because I feel like now we're kind of getting to a point where it's like, okay, I feel like some of us are like growing up and some of us aren't. And like eventually those people may grow up too. So I've actually had a thought a lot. What am I trying to say? I have actually thought about it a lot, and I think dating in your 30s is going to be very interesting because I feel like people are a little bit more mature and it's not like this like roundabout.
Well, people are living longer. People are looking younger longer. We have options to have children later in life. Like we're pushing everything forward. So I feel like your 20s now is like still being a teenager, and then being in your 20s is now like being like in your 30s. It's like being in your 20s.
Like they're not kidding when they're saying 30s.
We are literally living longer. Like times are changing.
Yeah, and I think like one thing I've really realized, like it was, so I went to Prince Rupert over the April long weekend, and I went to the Northern Museum of BC, Museum of Northern BC, whatever way that like you say that.
People are Googling it right now.
Yeah,
like, it's
a pretty cool museum. It's very small. Actually, I kind of do recommend going to Prince Rupert if you don't mind doing fuck all. It's really fun.
Yeah, if you just want a place to be forced to do nothing.
Yeah, like it was great because I never just sit and do nothing. So it was great. But yeah, so I went to the museum that's there. And of course I went high because I could just never be sober whenever I go somewhere. And I was sitting in this room and there's like this like TV thing like showing like old films of like people putting the railroads or whatever you call them. Railroads.
Building the railway.
Yeah. Yeah. And like from the 1920s. And it just kind of dawned on me and I was like, huh, we really are just a speck of time, aren't we? Mm-hmm. We really just are just a speck of dot. Like these people, they don't exist anymore. They all died. And what did they do? They devoted their life to creating the railways. I mean, great on them.
Still exist today.
Yeah. Yeah. Like,
and you're like, what the fuck are we doing? Are we just like, these are the pictures we have. This is my podcast that no one's going to listen to 200 years into the future. I've contributed nothing.
Like, we're just such a speck of time that like at the end of the day, literally everything that we're doing now does not matter.
No, I think we'll just be like statistics and like history. Like they'll record this part of history and they will be like, this is what people were doing then and this is what people are experiencing. Now that we've cured depression and anxiety and everything is online and our consciousness is uploaded and everybody lives on a feeding tube and we all live in a virtual world. It's like everything is better now.
We're like Wall-E, like that the movie Wall-E. Yeah. But yeah, like once you start realizing that, you're like, none of this is actually that serious because no one's gonna remember any of this. Like I try to remind myself that when I post something like I feel like is kind of like embarrassing on social media, but I'm like,
nobody remembers it but you.
Yeah, and I mean, if they do remember it, then so freaking be it. Like at the end of the day,
that memory fucking lives rent free for them in their head.
Yeah, and it's like, in 100 years, probably not gonna matter.
No, that memory is gonna die with them.
Like. If there's one thing to take away from today's episode, you're literally just a speck of time.
Yeah.
Just a speck of time.
That's it.
You, to put it bluntly, you don't mean anything to this timeline.
After everything we've talked about today, you literally mean nothing.
Yeah, us too. Like, that is not lost on us. All right. Well, this is great. Yeah.
This was so good. Thank you so much.
No problem.
Yeah.
I'm so glad. Like, I'm like, can we do another episode?
Yes,
another
we
time?
fucking can.
Okay. In like 6 months, we'll do another episode.
Absolutely.
Okay. We'll have to see what the...
Where are they now?
Right?
Where is Emily now?
Oh, your cat wants to say bye too.
Oh, she wants to say goodbye. She's loving it.
Yeah, we should just see first if people actually like us together. They might be like, these girls are dumb. Please do never.
Please never. Shut up, right? I turned it off 2 minutes in.
When they started talking about drugs.
No. Oh, God, we turned off. It's just, it's too much.
But maybe people will like it. It's going to go one or two ways. People are going to hate it or they're going to love it.
That's it.
They may ask for more and then we may have to come back.
Yeah, that's it. Let us know.
Not us putting the horse before the carriage.
Again, lower your expectations.
Yeah, exactly.
We're out of here. Thank you so much. Cheers.
Cheers.
Night, everybody.
Good night.